Yale Simpson. And just so I don't forget, thank you, John, and the organizers of this. This is the first time rugby has presented at this kind of forum. Disclosures, the usual, certainly forward-looking statements. People who've heard me speak before know that I'm famous for forward-looking statements. The track record, this is kind of the summary. Bryce Roxburgh, who's the CEO and has been with me as a business partner since 2002, he was the CEO of Exeter, Extory, and I'll go into that, but we have made lots of discoveries through teams. I'm not claiming to have put a pick on anything that I would claim solely my responsibility, but we have had success. As many other groups have. You could say, how many deposits do you have behind you guys? I don't know, 8, 9, okay? And often with teams of people, of course. Lots of it, the corporate experience is kind of important because when we formed this company, Exeter, who some of you may have followed, we formed it and issued shares at 15 cents in 2003, and its peak market cap with its spin-out was 2.1 billion. Okay, that's the success we brought for shareholders. We were astute enough to split out the assets in that company into 2 separate companies. We listed both of those companies ultimately on the New York Stock Exchange. So we had a vast US audience, and we eventually sold both of those companies, one to Yamana, the high-grade Cerro Moro deposit, and the other one went to Goldcorp, hence Newmont. So what we have in the company now is gold exposure. There's some copper possibilities in the Philippines, but I'll go into that now. The Rugby Projects, in the Philippines, we have the Motherlode project. We're in the Philippines because Bryce has worked there off and on for 30 years. The Didipio deposit, owned by Oceana Gold, was his team's discovery way back then, and he's kept a residence there, an association there ever since. Because of his knowledge of the Philippines, this particular high grade, one of the highest grade deposits mined in the past, right up until World War II when it was shut down, burnt, and nothing happened again, it produced 500,000 ounces of high grade, plus half ounce gold. Underneath it, it had some drilling, mining at depth, and they found copper and gold. And in the area, we know there's porphyries, and so we looked at it as a combined porphyry play with a epithermal gold. Argentina was where we had our Cerro Moro deposit that we vended to or sold the company off to Yamana. We picked up 600 square kilometers there within the Desiata Massif, and I'll talk about that. Otways in Australia. Australia is quite hot for these copper-gold porphyries and various other styles of deposits. We have a concession there that we're advancing, and then in Colombia, I'll talk at Colombia at the end. In the Philippines, quickly, this is just some pictures of the high-grade mineralization that's evident at surface because it was mined for 500,000 ounces, as I said. There's a picture here of the underground workings. That's a longitudinal section. That's on the right. You can see the mine was quite long. It was 500 meters long. It was mined to a depth in this picture here of about 250 meters, but in subsequent drilling, we find out that it was mined to at least 450 meters. On the left there, you see the picture of the IP, and the IP indicated that there's a big chargeability target, much bigger than the epithermal mine, and that was indications of a porphyry system. So we said, let's get on and let's try to drill a hole, twinning something that had been started earlier days, deepen that hole, and just see if we can go through both the old workings and into the porphyry. That hole, we drilled the hole into it. That first hole has been completed. We're waiting on assays. I can say that that hole did enter old workings as targeted. have no results on it so far. When you look at that anomaly also, you see this bottom piece to it. There's a kind of a lump hanging off the bottom, the southwest anomaly, and that looked like a potential repeat of the whole system where the gold deposit had been mined. So we put a second hole into that, again waiting on the results. Into Argentina. In this you can see, I don't know whether you can read it closely enough, you can see what we call the Deseado Massif. Argentina gold is known to be high grade. Any of those deposits is high grade, typically 10 grams or more per ton. Often there's a lot of silver in them. You can see Cerro Moro is on the right-hand side. That was our discovery back when we put Exeter together. There's a Cerro Vanguardia mine to the left. That's probably one of the world's best of the low sulfidation systems. Just on this point, and then you see El Zanjón that we've acquired is in yellow at the bottom. As a point, when we put Exeter together, we knew that we better have a few kicks of the can because you can't put all your eggs in one basket. And it turned out that that was what was the making of Exeter, because we ended up with 3 properties and 3 discoveries. And so that's why you're seeing us at present saying, well, we got something in the Philippines, we have something in Australia, why do you have something here? It's because we know all of those jurisdictions, particularly Argentina, and understanding what those vein systems are about. Here's kind of the play. The Anglo Gold mine, which is at the top left there, you can see, it's associated with this dilation zone. It's a major system of veins. There's probably 100 veins there. They probably mined about 25 of them, open pit, plus 10 grams. Been mining it for 20 years now. And if you look at what that system appears to be, it appears to be a mega dilation zone. If you look at the bottom of the El Zanjón property that we've recently acquired, we see that that may be part of this dilation zone. In between is land owned by Mirasol. Many of you know Mirasol. Mirasol did some work in there. They brought in Oceana Gold more recently. Oceana Gold drilled some holes and then backed off of that play. So we know that there's mineralization there. Unfortunately for us, there's almost no outcrop. So we are relying on magnetics to interpret the structures. You can look at it and say, will there be gold there? Absolutely, there'll be good gold there. I couldn't imagine it not being there. And for us, it's a matter of doing detailed geophysics and then getting on to drilling it. I'm going to mention Colombia. Colombia it's been a heartbreaker for our company. We spent upwards of 6 years in that western belt, where you can see the red zone on the western copper belt, on a property called Cabrasco. We did everything humanly possible for a company to advance that to get a forest extraction permit. And we were devastated after all of those years and the millions of dollars we put into getting that permit that they denied it, not on its technical merit, but they decided that western part of the country, nobody should do any work there. We'd wish they'd told us that earlier. However, we had done, because of our persistence, there was a major gold company. One of the big guys had been working in the country for 7 years, spent $20 million, not where we were looking on the western belt, but in all of those areas marked in green. They had applied for vast areas of the country, and when they decided to change their corporate way of not doing grassroots exploration, we bought the entire asset base of that major company, all of their applications, and including the people and all the land. So most of that land had not been approved yet in terms of applications. That process is now happening. So we would think over the next 6 months, the first of those projects will come to fruition in terms of us working on them. I won't go into Australia. Australia is quite a hot area. I see us, it's a grassroots area. I see us likely farming out this area because there is interest in it, and it's a long way from what we're doing elsewhere. In terms of the capital structure, you can see 83 million shares out. The market cap is about $13 million Canadian. Most of the warrants are between 16 and 50 cents. We'd love to see them exercised in due course. The stock is trading at about 16 cents. And that shows the people. Myself as chairman, Bryce Roxburgh, my long-standing business partner, Paul Joyce, who has been part of the original team to make these discoveries, and further on down, and particularly John Hermanson and Rob Gray, who are here today. So that's my time is up. There is a big people component to this. A lot of people saw the value we created, the $2 billion in market cap, and they're saying it's worth a punt supporting you guys at this point in time, especially if we enter a new cycle. Thank you.